Good morning. The sun is shining. I'm starting to feel a little better after the clock change. And so I'm looking for some extra energy boost to get back at some of my projects that I haven't finished. So, I don't know. Are you feeling better after the clock change?
Like I said yesterday, it doesn't really affect me as much as it does when in the fall.
Yeah, when you lose that hour. Yeah, I think for me it's the opposite. You know, it's okay in the fall.
Of course, you always have to be opposite.
Provide resistance. That's my motto. If I was going to have a tattoo, that's probably what I would put on there. But it wouldn't be in the sense that people think of, you know, like some activist or something very positive and revered as that. It would just be, you know, whatever it is, you know, just, hey, providing resistance doesn't have to mean political resistance. It can be like you. I asked you the other day to provide resistance when I was working on my bar. I had to put mending plates to join the two sections of this panel door that I cut, and so I could join them to become the back side of the bar. And Dave was really good about coming and putting his foot there so that I could squeeze the two portions together. And
It's the one and only times that I can get away with putting my foot down.
You were very admirable about that. I probably should have been taking advantage of that all along. And so,
Interesting. I wonder if we're going to see Des today. Maybe they sent him off in a different direction. He's quite late.
maybe he's not working for him at all anymore, if you know what I mean.
Have you tried rubbing alcohol on a butter knife?
Come on in. How the hell long have you been there?
Well, I couldn't hear a lot of traffic out this way, and some crows and everything.
Yeah.
I wish I'd pick up some of them squirrels.
Pour yourself some coffee.
Oh, thanks.
It's good to see you. Did you hear me snarking about the fact that maybe you won't have a delivery job very much longer?
Well, you know.
All good things must end. Which I'm sad to say.
No, we didn't order anything, so.
Oh yeah, do you have any returns?
You are so thoughtful.
Oh, these-
I'm going to have to recommend
Do you
you.
make these waffles?
Yeah, sure. Sure I did.
Oh, no, they're not waffles. They're just really big donut holes.
Frisbee style donut holes. Speaking of things coming to an end, I am crushed that Joanne Fabrics is going out of business. The local one that I've gone to,
Now you know how I felt when Radio Shack disappeared.
I remember, you're not over it. You still talk about that. And it's funny because I notice whenever you need any piece of technical equipment, now it's the big search online and all of this, and you can't really see it or touch it or what's the rest of your complaints that I hear about looking for electronic stuff now that Radio Shack is closed?
Well, it wasn't just electronic stuff. It almost seems like a dumbing down, you know.
What do you mean?
Because it's smart, you know, and some of the hobby stores too. Actually, the same parent company that had Radio Shack had craft stores and stuff everywhere, but you don't see that so much. There's a couple of big chains left there, but certainly Joann's was one of them that had craft stuff in there, and it's all about hobbies and, you know, being creative and all that sort of stuff.
You know, there's a funny saying that, and you've seen it on pillows that people embroider. She who dies with the most fabric wins. And
I've never seen that before.
well, it's on sewing circles and stuff. It is. It's kind of a joke because you'll go in a fabric shop or something and you see a really cute fabric and you think of this project that you would like to do in the future. And so you buy a reasonable amount, you bring it home and you put it in the drawer or the trunk or the Rubbermaid bin or whatever. And with every intention of getting to that project, and the intention never goes away, but the time and the opportunity to really get busy on that never seems to materialize. So people,
No pun intended.
you know, That's right. No pun intended.
However, I do remember that you sometimes would buy huge dresses at a thrift shop just for the fabric.
Yeah. Especially now because fabric has gotten. What do you want, Des? He's looking. I wish you could see his face over there. It looks menacing and mischievous.
Raising my hand to be called on. I go
All right. What do you
trying to add some order. To the, what do they win? They have the most fabric.
They have the most fabric.
What do they win?
That's what you win. He doesn't get it. No, especially.
These are good
All right,
waffles.
now, hey, all that stuff,
can't
and you
use-
made fun of
You
me.
can't use the word win if it's what you already have.
No,
Look what I won. It only cost me $20.
I wish only $20. My kids, when I used to go in the fabric shops, they used to. They actually would sit in the car with their daddy because they didn't see the value in going in there. Only I did at the time. I think they've changed since because there's so many more hobby things in those stores that they like to look around and think of things they might like to play with or do or whatever. But anyway, they used to call it the cloth shop. And they go, oh, no, she's going in the cloth shop. She's going to be in there forever. And so you would sit there and grumble. I know there was a lot of grumbling going on. But at the time, when my kids were little, I did a lot of sewing, especially for the girls. So, seasonal clothes, back to school dresses, maybe spring dresses, whatever. And then because we had 3 girls, we could hand things down. So the sewing at that time, you saved money by doing it. Nowadays, I'm not so sure because the cost of fabric has gotten so expensive. And that's here in the States.
Because fabric's all made with eggs now.
Hey, speaking of eggs,
Oh no. Finish your fabric story, please.
$7.10
What?
for a dozen eggs. $7.10. Last week it was $6.95 or something.
What's causing that?
That bird flu.
Bird flu.
That's the story, right?
No, it's true. And the thing that kills me is
Bird flu?
I'm sure that we're all going to really be able to understand that the reason the price of eggs is going up is because of scarcity, because of bird flu.
Yeah.
We will come to accept that. But last year, it was to be shunned that was even an idea, that it could be attributed to bird flu and not to some misdemeanor or negligence on the part of the administration. But I'm sure that very soon we'll come to that realization. Oh, it has to do with the pandemic that is raging still.
Does that have anything to do with the disappearance of ground turkey and fresh turkey meat and stuff?
Absolutely sure that it does. And I'm feeling really bad about that because I love ground turkey. I love turkey burgers.
Should you be afraid then that chicken is still readily available?
You know what I think the difference is? I know that a lot of these places have had to destroy whole flocks, and I don't know whether there's a resting period after they have to do that, after they have to, cull their animals or their birds, if they have to somehow treat the soil and do all of that other stuff. I don't know any of that, but I will say that I think that there are some of the big chains are able to still sell because I think they have separate sources and they're probably backed up because the giants, they don't have, you're going to hate this, all their eggs in one basket. They've got lots.
I
of
don't
it.
get it. Here's the other thing, though. I mean, some of those eggs have to become chicks at some point. And would it be a concern maybe that they're getting more money for them as an egg than the chick? I mean, you used to have
Nowadays.
some of the stores around here, in the more rural areas especially, this time of the year roughly, right? When you can
Yeah.
go in, you can see a whole cage full of just newborn chicks running around, which is kind of fun to watch. I always get your permission, though, to
Yeah.
go check out the chicks.
Yeah, he
Um,
always does. Can I check out the
but-
chicks?
Well, you have to wonder how much does a chick cost versus what the egg costs now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which came first?
Well, that'll be another show.
And we will arrive at the answer to that.
But back on Joann's anyway, what is the reason that you've heard that they're not getting the
bankrupt.
traffic?
They're bankrupt.
Yeah, I know, but why are they bankrupt?
A lot of these home decor kitchen places, they've gone out of business. A lot of the fashion chains are going out of business. And it seems like a lot of the things that have a higher clientele of women, those are the businesses that are getting, closed up.
That's so sexist.
It is sexist. That's exactly my thinking. How is it? Is it just that the gals don't have money to spend on this stuff? Can we trace that back and ask that question?
I'm not
don't
gonna.
know.
I could ask you I could put you right in the hot seat right now.
All right, do it.
When was the last time you were in a Joann Fabrics?
The last time I had a freaking ride to the big city. We don't have a car. And so I don't go.
I mean that
Let
can.
me finish
Okay.
this. Let me finish.
Oh no.
And this is the truth.
Heated.
That was like my number one destination for when the weather changed enough. We don't have a car. We take public transport. For us to go to the city, which is only about a half an hour ride from here, for us to do that, we have to stand by the side of a 4-lane highway until the bus comes to pick us up, which I'm willing to do. But I'm only willing to do it when it's daylight and when it isn't so foggy in the morning or freezing cold. So, because I just feel that standing there, it feels really dangerous. It feels really vulnerable. And I have to say, these are the kinds of things that when we're talking about economies, we can take that bus and, you pay $1 a ride. In some cases, you get free rides into the city from where we are. Like I say, it's a half an hour away. It makes it great because if you have doctor's appointments or something, you schedule them for then, and you can go there. But then you wait all day long until that bus makes a return trip, and we get home. We're at that side of the road at 8 a.m., by 8 a.m., and that bus can pick you up anytime between 8 a.m. and 8:30, I think is about the latest it's picked us up. So you're standing there a good half an hour. If the weather is bad and you have an appointment, you still have to stand by the 4-lane highway with no shelter.
We can't complain too much about that, though, because here in the U.S., it's pretty rare to have a bus at all.
No, that's exactly right. And when we talk about what we should be spending money on, to my mind, that's exactly the kinds of things. Make sure that there's public transport, that it's easy to use, and that it's not just easy to use, but that it's accessible. You don't need a car to get to the station. That there's a mechanism to get to the bus station in every little community, and especially in rural areas like this. And that all these places like where we live, it's a wonderful place to live. And I am not complaining, and your point is well taken. We're lucky to have a bus at all. It drops us off very close to the little lane that we walk down at 4:30. So we're out of the house on foot from 8 in the morning, roughly, usually a few minutes before that, until about 4:15, 4:30.
So a work day like everybody else.
A work day like everybody else, but here's the thing. A lot of that time we use to get groceries. And so you have to time those groceries so that if you got butter or something like that that requires refrigeration, because you're carrying it in a backpack or a little grocery cart.
You couldn't do it any quicker, really. I mean, you need that whole time, actually.
We do need the whole time, but you have to schedule what you're going to buy that requires refrigeration for late. You have to make sure you can carry it and lift it, and that you're not loading up on cans and things like that are going to be a problem over time. And once you get that stuff in your backpack, it slows you down, and you have to plan the whole day out for how much weight you're going to be carrying. And so you have to kind of strategize about which stores you go to first. Joann's is usually first for me, or used to be first for me, because it was fun, kind of a treat. And usually I wouldn't be buying real heavy stuff there.
But when you were in the city, you would pop in there, like if you were nearby.
Usually, yes.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely go in there. And because it wasn't just about fabric.
She did her best.
So it's not your fault.
No, hey, I've contributed. I'm a big thrift shopper too, so I consider that my charity work.
A lot of, and I think a lot of the, to your point about, I think like I know Target just started to do. I don't know about the fabric necessarily, but I know Walmart used to have a big fabric section,
But
and
it's been shrinking.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Walmart, when they put in their fabric, they ran a lot of the smaller fabric shops out there. Used to be where I used to live. There was a Sofro. There was a place called the Rag Shop.
I remember the big fabric wars.
No, there really kind of was because the big one or the little ones, the small ones, they couldn't compete against Walmart, and so they used to have much bigger fabric departments than they do now. Now the Walmart that's most convenient, they have not even a full aisle, like just a little section of fabrics, usually kind of a seasonal thing. And here, we're in the South, they have outdoor fabrics there, and what they call fat quarters, which are quarter yard pieces of fabric, like for quilters. But the selection is very small, and you can exhaust that pretty quickly if you're a quilter, because you don't want to use it.
And that all kind of ties in with the whole dysfunctional relationship people have with Walmart.
Yeah.
It's because they do kind of like they're in a position to where the mom and pop, the local places, they can't compete. But on the other hand, they bring jobs and opportunity to communities that really are hurting and stuff. So that the mom and pop stores can't afford to hire everybody,
But
So
it's not an issue so much anymore since they put in the self-checkouts. All of those the people used to kind of welcome Walmart. They think, oh, it's jobs. It's also career opportunities, really. But I think that's a lot less true.
now I hear they're going to just ask the customers to greet each other when they come in.
What happened to the greeters?
They got rid of them. We don't need anybody to do that. I think that, they have people standing by the door, but you get the sense that they're more making sure that there's, people aren't heisting stuff.
Well, you hear more and more stories, and you see more and more stories about the madness that goes on in some of the Walmarts now. I don't know. It used to be back in the day. You used to have like Kmart in America. You used to have like Kmart and I don't know what else, like James Way and Hills and Caldor. Ames was a
Ward's, Sears used to have
That's right.
sales floors, Woolworths.
Boy, you are old, aren't you?
This is what you think.
Sears? Oh my gosh.
the 5 and dime.
Do you remember Spiegel?
I remember their catalogs, and I loved their catalogs. I used to love all of those at Christmas time.
But then when Walmart came around, it was some sort of like, wow, this is the modern era of department stores and everything. And then Target kind of took that away, gave it an extra ounce of class. Walmart's used to have a floor in them. Now, you know how they have like Sam's Club? And Sam's Club is like a warehouse, basically, right? Mm-hmm. But Walmart, I swear, all those department stores used to have like floors. Like they'd have like some kind of weird either tile floor or something. Not tile floor, but you know what I mean? They have like...
I don't know what it is, but it hurts. It's hard.
Yeah, right?
It's like harder than diamonds.
Walmart used to have one of those.
It must be men. Men have the problem, especially, I think.
It's a Y chromosome problem. Their legs give out. These same men can go four-wheeling, they can hike, they can hunt, they can play sports all day long, but and they're fine. They're good as new at the end of a full day of that. But you take them for an hour or two shopping, oh, my legs are hurting. And
an hour or two would be a blessing. You could cut it down to an hour or two.
I used to think it was just you, but it isn't. I have to say my sons are the same way. I'm shocked. I raised them better than that.
I'm not saying it's a man thing, but you hear significant others in there that are always like grumbling. It's not just men, but you hear other people in there like kids and women and
Kids.
Man.
No, the floors are unreasonably
But they
hard.
used to have actual floors though. But now they're just like the concrete. On the bottom.
That's honest, at least. But
It's like they
yeah,
don't care. It's like there's no care. There should be like somebody playing
Like
a
a
piano.
rug or something. At least it's easy to clean. Come on, I want
know,
a
but-
clean store.
Don't you want to be impressed when you go into Walmart?
No, I don't. I don't care.
Don't you want to have like a butler serving cocktails and
No, I am
somebody
there.
playing a piano?
I am there to
dancing girls. Don't you want that's
No.
disco lights, confetti?
No, and no. I want to be treated properly. I do not want to check myself out. I avoid those with the, like the plague.
Yeah.
Because, for one thing, the little counter that they have to set your stuff on before you bag it is way too small. It's just way too small. And I watch moms or even men with little kids. In the little kids, you're trying to keep track of some little wiggly kid, and you're trying to balance your stuff on those little spaces that they have. And I know the reason that they're little like that is so they can fit more of them in, and that's supposedly going to streamline the process, but it doesn't. And if there's any kind of a mistake with any of the things, you got to call a person over anyway. For me, I'm already stressed up about, do I have enough money to cover this stuff that I got, which is not funsies. It's necessary things. And then, so you're balancing stuff, you're worried about the money, you're trying to remember if you forgot anything, you're trying to do the process correctly, fish through my purse to get stuff.
Oh, stop. It's like there's a reason there's no video. People would see you with your mink coat and your diamond rings and your tiara.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be me. That'd be me.
And you just throwing eggs at the wall and laughing.
To show
Because there's no camera.
To show that I
Yeah,
can.
there's no camera on you, and you're just like, oh, the price of eggs. Ah.
take that.
Yeah. So, yeah, your shopping cart should be twice the size of your register. Right? Like, the shopping
I can
cart,
barely push them because the wheels are never right. Have you ever noticed that?
like, you have a giant shopping cart. Okay, well, then they should provide you with enough space for every item that's in the cart. Right?
You mean
your
on the self checkouts? You know who does it? I think very, very well is Aldi's.
I thought you were going to say Elon Musk.
No, Aldi's. You go up to their checkout. There's a second cart there, and so they
Yes,
bring
yes.
you up. Also, another thing that they do right that I absolutely love.
piano.
No, there's no piano or dancing girls or anything. The barcodes on their products are a stripe. It's not just a little patch like a postage stamp, a little bigger than a postage stamp. It's a stripe. So when you go to ring those, it catches it. There's a lot less manipulation of each item that you're trying to ring out.
Wait, are you suggesting people print their own barcodes to put on
I
Aldi
am
products?
not suggesting that. No.
That's a criminal. You can't do
I
that.
get in trouble for
You
that, I've
can't do
heard.
that, can you?
You can try.
I guess. I mean, if that's what the end of Joann's Fabrics has driven you to, I guess. I'm sorry. What was the point?
No, have you ever shopped in Aldi's?
Yeah.
And have you ever noticed that their barcodes are a stripe?
I have not noticed that.
Have you ever had the experience there where, it seems to be going better for you than normal?
I wouldn't call it an experience in any sense. I just go there, but it's nice though. They got some good stuff there. But to your point about that, the cart, yeah, they do. They shuffle the carts around. So
Yeah.
you unload your cart and they have an empty one there, so you can then you bag your own.
You bag your own. But there's a
Like
place.
an animal.
No, they have a nice long countertop. You can take the space that you need, in a reasonable way, and bag your own groceries. I always carry my own shopping bags, and I know, isn't it disgusting?
Guess who has their own shopping bags?
Hey, speaking of shopping bags, another shopping experience, Dollar General.
Yeah.
If you go in Dollar General, right, usually just as you come in, they have this rack of plastic shopping bags. They're really sturdy. Some of them are very, very big. And I'll be honest with you, those big ones, if you travel a lot, we travel, pretty regularly. I bought one of those big ones, which I keep in my travel bag. I had one experience when we were traveling that the zipper on my bag broke right after TSA. And so, it wasn't a huge bag, it was a carry-on bag, but still it was problematic. And so I also carry a little needle and thread. So I just took the whole bag, which I could not shut, slipped it into that nice big plastic shopping bag, with handles and all of that I got over at the Dollar General.
You're not talking like a regular shopping bag. You're talking like a high-end one.
No, I forget what I paid,
Not high-end.
but it was like $3, something like
That
that.
is high-end.
Ooh, I'm
But
so
how big?
spoiled.
What could you fit in it?
It is about probably 24 inches wide by a good 12 inches deep.
How many centimeters?
And it's probably about
Look it up.
30 inches tall, close to. So 30 by 24 by a foot. That's generous. It's a good bag. It's light. And I have had that bag forever. And I've used it on our grocery shopping trips to the city. I take that bag, and I can slip 2 or 3 of my smaller shopping bags inside that, just to keep everything collected when we get on the bus.
And you hope security doesn't see you when you sneak out of the store? I don't get that. What?
Hey, you're trying to get me in trouble.
No, so you tuck that in your
It
luggage or
folds up-
something?
It folds up really flat.
And then when you were traveling, something broke. And then what did you do?
I just took the whole backpack. It was a backpack.
Oh, okay.
I took the whole backpack, slid it into that great big shopping bag, and then we went over. After we threw TSA, we had to wait for our flight. I went and sat down, pulled out the little needle and thread, sewed it up.
Or you're going to get more needle and thread now that Joann's is closing.
You know what? Walmart. Oh, or Dollar General also sells them. Those are the
Or
two
you could
shops.
order it online, and have someone deliver it to you right to your door. You could do that.
And then I'd have to listen to his insults and feed
It's a
him
good
coffee.
thing I'm here.
Did you see any other stores that are closing, or what's going on?
Yeah, Bed Bath and Beyond. I didn't get a chance to shop in there very much because I don't have the time to dedicate to that, and especially if we are catching buses.
Shopping. Gotcha. Okay, to shopping, not the bath.
That's fun shopping.
I don't have much time to dedicate to a bath. But you mean shopping in the store. I got it, sorry.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be a long morning.
Are they gone?
Yeah, pretty much, I
Yeah.
guess.
They're out in the great
Big
beyond.
Lots. Big Lots also has
Renamed.
experienced bankruptcy. And they're now, I guess they've been bought up. So some of those stores, which were in the process of closing, they're going to keep some of those open. But it makes me feel bad because.
Big Lots?
Big Lots. I know. Can you believe it? I shopped in there a lot. I loved going in there. They used to have a really good, international section where you could try foods that, I think they're clearance. I think those are probably brands that are being phased out or something. But it was fun shopping and trying some of that stuff. You could get good coffee there and different kinds of teas and sauces. Those are the kinds of things that I love a shop like that for, because it's not the usual thing,
Place like Ollie's.
Ollie's, I love.
That's
But they're healthy, I think. I think Ollie, and I think they're more of a club. So
Is it?
I think so. You sign up, it's a membership thing. It would be like Sam's, I guess. But
I know there's a card you can get for discounts or some kind of things, but I don't think you need a club card to get in.
no,
Ollie's.
you don't need a club card to get in there, but you do get discounts with their club thing. I miss malls. Malls.
What was your daughter saying to you the other day?
Oh, she was telling me they live in New York State, and they drove into the city of Rochester, and they have a mall there that used to be known as the Marketplace Mall. She said she promised the kids had to go on this trip with them to the city, and 2 boys, and they said, well, we'll go to the mall. We can go shopping in the mall. They pull up to the mall. The mall is now not a mall. It's all dedicated to a medical facility. So it's gone from being a mall, community mall.
What, the whole mall?
The whole mall.
Well, of course. Who has the big money to buy a whole mall? The medical industry.
Now, that being said, I think if you had to go to the doctor, you had to go to, I don't know, dialysis or something. If that was all under one roof, you pull in the parking lot and you could get all your medical stuff taken care of under one community roof, that would probably be a really good thing. So it's probably a good idea. But it's shocking that these malls are closing because those used to be gathering places. Now I can't think of any single place where people can go just kind of.
The bar.
Yeah, but how many does that hold? I mean,
And Starbucks.
with the whole family.
Starbucks and the bar.
Yeah, but the kids, come on.
Starbucks.
My
Kids can sit in the car.
alone
I don't know. That's
or with daddy.
Where would you take a kid nowadays? If the weather's not very good, where would you go? No. There are some places where you can go inside and stuff, like play places and things like that. But
Do you pay to get in?
yeah. But you're right. Malls used to be an event to go to the mall, and you'd meet your friends.
Yeah, you go grab a bite to eat, maybe go to the movies. The kids used to like to go in the little toy shop or the gallery. I miss the bookshops. Oh, I miss the bookshops. I used to love that.
It's one of those experiences that's sadly fading into history.
Yeah.
It's like Saturday morning cartoons and stuff, which you can talk about in another episode.
It's long gone. What do the young ones do now? Where do you meet?
Bar? No, wait. The young ones?
Yeah, high schools. Where do the high schoolers go?
They don't. They meet online. Or they go to
That's-
Starbucks after school or something.
And I mean, how long? Let's say if you go to the mall, you can spend the day.
I'm not a young one.
You're asking Dennis. I don't know. I mean, he's not old, but
Old enough to know that I'm not young.
My point is how hard it must be to be young. I remember going to the mall and walking around.
Did you ever see that they would have places where they would have events? They would have people like musical groups perform, or some local high school would
The band,
do something.
the
Yeah,
high school
in the
band.
middle of the mall.
In the mall.
The Mall of America. I don't know. I think that's still around, right? That has an amusement park in it.
That's
inside.
If it is still around, that's probably why it's still around.
It's true.
But I remember they'd dress it all up for Christmas, and they'd have, spring themed things. And it was fun.
But if you start losing your anchor stores, that kills it. Like the J.C. Penney's and the Sears, and when those start dying off, those are your anchor stores. And every corner of the mall has an anchor store, has a big department store tied to it. So the little stores are basically like indoor strip malls. They have no chance to survive without the big anchor stores.
And one by one, the big anchor stores are closing up because people have shifted to online business. And my question is, why? I mean, is there not something nice about if you're buying a shirt, to see the shirt, to touch the shirt, to choose between that and a few other choices about which one you think is best for whatever you want it for? Are you going someplace fancy, or is this going to be an everyday
And remember they had fitting rooms? Yeah. And where you could try on the shirt before you bought it?
Yeah.
Why am I so angry? I don't know.
Because I think we didn't understand.
You know what?
It's convenient.
Sorry.
To sit down there, to sit on the couch at night and scroll and pick something out and order it. It seems really easy because you don't have to wait for the bus, and you don't have to find a parking place if you do have a car, or dedicate all the time to go and look for a shirt, which you may or may not find. But so that's in ways that's wonderful. I mean, and I'm not complaining about that. I order things and I enjoy doing that because I can so-called scroll for it in time that's not useful otherwise. You know, I'm sitting on the couch, the TV's on or whatever. And I can do it and it is convenient for me, but I miss it. And I feel like we have basically, because we've allowed those big companies to become so big, that now, with everything else closing down around us, we have to use them, guys.
And you know how we've allowed them to do that? By shopping there.
Yeah.
So we're hypocrites.
Yeah. But did we fully understand that we were turning them into the company store?
Yes.
Remember when there were factory towns and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Where you had to shop at the store that was provided for you by the big boss who owned the company that you worked for, et cetera, those company stores. And now we've essentially allowed a company stores, there's a few, to become so big that we are now totally dependent on them because there's no way. You know, you can talk about local business, you know, supporting local businesses, but unless you actually do it other than on Local Business Saturday or the day after Black Friday, that you do that, then, you know, I guess we got what we deserve and what we have earned for ourselves.
You know what shocks me is that where I was living in Los Angeles, we had the Fashion Square Mall was behind where I was living. There was also Target and stuff, and that I was out there when the COVID and all that stuff, right? And we had all our lockdowns, and we would have to wait in line to get in the store. And then once we were in there, we'd have to wait in line to get out of the store. And stuff was scarce, like toilet paper and all that stuff. And just the amount we would spend a whole day just to buy toilet paper. It was really that bad out there. And I remember being in line in a Target, and it was probably hour number 2 we were in line, and talking to somebody, and I said, if people don't appreciate brick and mortar stores after this, then we're all fools.
Yeah. And that was a couple of years ago.
And we're all fools.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were before, but just a different way now.
Yeah.
Over in Europe, I like the marchés. It's like a big market, one day a week, usually per town, sizable town. And the center of the town is dedicated to all of these booths. It's like the art festivals, you know, that we have occasionally here. But once a week, all the vendors come. There's like a farmer's market section. There's a fishmonger section. A butchery. You can buy candles. You can buy jewelry. You can buy clothes. Everything is there under canopies. And you walk up and down, you stroll up and down the streets, and some of it is big commercial stuff, others more artisan. And it has been happening. For me, it's mind-bogglingly wonderful. Those marchés have been happening on the same day of the week for 1,000 years. You know, you just think about it.
See? They're stuck in the past.
No, you would love it. You would love it. Our grandson came to visit us one time when we were in Europe, and so we all met up, and that was one of his favorite things. My sons, that's one of their favorite things is going to those marchés on those days. You see your neighbors, you see your friends. You can sample things. You know, if there's a cheese vendor there, they'll have little cubes that you can try, and it's just magnificent. Just fun.
Let me ask you this about the malls. Can get back. I want to ask you something about the mall. If you would go to the mall, where would you shop? There was usually like a couple of places you would hit, like I don't mean rob. I mean like that you would shop at, and usually you'd have like the same routines that you would do, and you'd be like, oh, go ahead. You might stop for lunch or go see a movie or whatever. But what kind of places would you go? Where?
You know what, they used to have, what was that, Bombay something or other. I used to love to go in there. They had, remember Bombay? Dave, you bought me a.
Pier 1?
Well, you used to go to Pier 1, but there was another one called Bombay Company, I think. Bombay Company. In fact, don't you remember, you know that little tea box that you, well, it's not little. You bought me a beautiful tea box. It's a dark wood tea box, and it has all the little slots. It probably got a dozen or more, maybe 16 slots for different type tea bags. They had that kind of thing in there, and they would have, paperweights, beautiful things. Did I always buy things there? No, but I used to get a lot of. I used to especially like to go right after Christmas, because they would be clearing out their Christmas things, and so I would buy things then. And literally, I had a box I used to store things in for the next Christmas. Small things that wouldn't, stuff that didn't have a shelf life and wasn't going to go out of style.
Yeah, you're right. The malls used to be where everybody would go for the big Christmas rush. I've got to get to the mall to get these gifts.
It was so fun. The music would be playing, and you'd be walking, and you were up north in the United States. That was a real thing, to be in out of the weather. You didn't have to keep running in and out. I mean, I used to send Dave back out to the car when we would be shopping for the kids. Remember, we'd go Christmas shopping. Not that we were ever extravagant. We weren't, but you could buy things that looked like they were more than they were, because you had an opportunity to handle it, to look at it, to touch it. You say, hey, wow, look, this is discounted. And they did a great job back then of providing an array of things that people could choose from, that, there was something for everybody. And you got to pick. You could see it and touch it. And that was wonderful. And be in out of the weather and see your friends and listen to the music and absorb the ambience of it.
I'll give you kind of an idea of my experience. Would be like, I'd go to the record store, maybe the toy store, bookstore.
Me too, bookstore.
And clothing store.
Did you go to the department stores, or would you?
Yeah, we go there and stuff. The
girls, our girls used to like to go to the fashion shops for geared more to the younger girls, and they loved that. And we would separate when the kids were old enough. We'd say, okay, you guys go shopping. We meet back here at X time, and this is where we meet. And we always did that, and that gave them some autonomy. We were handy. The littler ones we could take with us and go. And you would have to try to do things that they would like too. Thankfully, our kids always loved the bookshops.
And I bet you could split up and then meet up again in the mall.
Yeah, the big girls, yeah. We used to do that. And the three of them. But the rule was, and I think it's a good one, the girls had to stick together. You stay with your group. Yeah. So remember, we used to watch sometimes on TV, this is way out. It's not, it sounds off topic, but it's not. Remember, we used to watch the PBS shows and that sort of thing about herds of animals, and there was always some little animal that was separated from the herd, and then they would get, Dave, your word was chonked. Tell them how you used to say it.
The Chunkin' Show.
Chunkin' Show.
Sadly, that some small member of the herd is going to get chunked at some point before the show's over.
Yeah. But that, you turn that into kind of a lesson for the kids. Stay with your group, or you might get chunked.
Well, I think everybody will assume that you didn't send off like a 5, 6, and 7-year-old by them. Go have fun.
I've seen. The thing is, though, it was under. Did bad stuff happen? Probably. Yeah. Well, you didn't hear about that kind of stuff like you do now. But now, the big thing is that parents are letting, let's say, a 10-year-old or 11-year-old ride their bike down to the grocery store to buy a candy bar. And the next thing you know, you've got the authorities at your door for negligence that you haven't. Is
that true?
Yes.
Really? I haven't heard.
Yes. It's becoming a big thing, where basically parents are being accused of not taking good care of their kids because their kids are out alone on the street. Guys, I walked to school 13 blocks alone. Well, with my sister.
Your cigarettes.
No, I didn't. I didn't have my cigarettes or a shiv or anything else. And we walked to school every day, and it was, I mean, I never felt unsafe. I might not have wanted
I
to
did
go.
that too. I walked to some places I lived. I was within walking distance, and I walked to school
How far?
a mile or so.
Yeah. You too. You walked to school, didn't you?
Barefoot in the winter.
Uphill both ways.
I'll tell you, when we were kids, by golly,
We went by hot air balloon.
our only toy was a hoop and a stick.
Oh, brother. Oh.
Keep in shape. We punched the air.
We do. We played air
That's
guitar.
what keep you in shape. I don't.
You could play an air guitar. No,
But you'd have to find air strings to put on it.
and nowadays the malls, and I guess probably rightfully so, they don't even, or they didn't want the young ones there unsupervised. So you had to have your mommy or your daddy with you because
So you
they
used-
acted bad.
So you said air guitar, and like a regular guitar, you would need guitar strings. You'd have to get those. So I said air strings.
Still don't get it.
This will be the bonus episode, like the live chat, live stream where we explain all the failed jokes.
What are air strings?
Talk about punching that air. Joke. Anyway, so the mall was like, it was a social place. It really was a social place with a big. I remember going there and you'd run into your friends walking by. Hey.
Or make plans. Make
Yeah.
plans to meet at the mall. The girls would go shopping, their friends would be there, and that was that. And even though from where we lived, the mall was a drive, but we went there.
Don't forget the game rooms.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
The game rooms and all of that.
Fancy jewelry shops, jewelry, all the diamond
Yeah.
rings and stuff. I can't say jewelry.
They looked like diamond rings, and then if you really studied them, they were just cleverly cut mounts for a little tiny chip. But,
What?
the rings, do you ever see that?
I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of them would be the cuts on the silver, silver plate would be impressive looking, but there would be the teeniest little chip in there. But I remember when I was young thinking, "Oh, that's just beautiful."
Was it not beautiful?
They were beautiful, but they were not. I mean, they could call themselves a diamond ring because they had that little tiny chip in there, but.
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Molecules of diamond.
2 molecules. I remember my mom. I remember when the local mall in the town that I lived in started up. It wasn't huge. It really wasn't. But for that town, it was a magnificent thing. And I remember back to sewing. My mom, it was a sew fro store, and she let me go in there. I was learning to sew at school, and they had the sewing machines. It was required. The girls did home ec, the boys did shop, and there was no discussion about whether the girls were going to go to shop. The answer was no. And were the boys going to be in home ec? The answer to that was also no. And so no one challenged that. No one cared to.
Well, I took home ec.
Did you?
Yeah, I learned to sew and stuff. I can't do it, but I did learn how.
Now, see, back in my day, because I'm older
do that
than
either.
you, that was not a thing. You were not allowed.
Really?
But my mom used to let me go in there. And we had, as one of the sewing projects, what did you have to make? A tote bag?
Made a stuffed soccer ball.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? You didn't have to do home ec, did
It was like a pillow. It was a pillow, but it was like a real round ball.
Did you? Was it good?
And that's a memory I've totally forgotten for years. But yeah, that was I just remember that just now. That was the thing we did. Yeah, we had to sew each piece together and stuff it.
They would be curved edges on both sides. I'm impressed by
Or for our friends in the UK, a football.
like a soccer ball.
Proper football.
Proper football. I have to tell you something. I sew pretty regularly. And for you to do that as a starting project is pretty impressive because those are curved.
I sew. I thought you were calling me a name. I sew. I sew regularly. Okay, got it. Sorry, my hearing's not very good. Sorry. Sorry, go ahead. So
Anyway,
Yeah.
for you to have sewn that and for your teacher to approve that as a project for you as a beginner is pretty impressive. I'm impressed to hear that because curved to sew a soccer ball means that you're sewing curved lines. So all of them would be shaped like the sections to your football would have to be like shaped like a football, like an American football.
No.
So the sections, they had to be.
well, they
then you
were
join
they were the individual pieces.
Yes, and there had to be,
Hex-
what,
or
6 or 8 of them?
hexagons, right? Hexagons.
No, they'd be football shape. Oh, no, yours were hexagons. That's even more stitching.
Right? Yeah, that's a hexagon. Right? Yeah. So we'd have to put each one of those together, and then
Okay, so it wasn't like, all right, even so, making the points of that nice and crisp
I get it even so.
good. I'm impressed with that. That's a good project.
I'm laughing because I now remember what it looked like when it was done. So you see
That's what I was going to say. You're impressed, but you have actually seen it.
No, it's probably good I didn't. But my mom, which is my point too about this, we in the first year of home ec, you took 2 years, two semesters of home ec in junior high school, and 7th and 8th grade. The first year you made a triangular shaped headscarf, bikini scarves they called them back then, and you would make a tote bag, with
You
handles.
also use it as your bikini.
No, it could hold your scarf or whatever else. It was a useful piece of kit. Anyway, so the first year was no big deal. The second year I made a dress, and my mom let me pick out the fabric for the dress. And the shape of the dress, this won't mean anything to you guys probably because you have never sewn, but it had an elongated waist, and it had like a ruffled skirt that was attached at mid hip. So it was a long, almost like a t-shirt length or a tunic length, and then a flared skirt.
That was something you made in home ec?
Yes. So, and I deliberately chose a pattern that didn't have sleeves because I didn't want to set sleeves, but the teacher made me set sleeves because she said, if you're going to learn, you need to learn how to apply a zipper, you need to set sleeves, which she was right. I so appreciate those lessons because I've used what I learned in that class my whole life. Anyway, Mom let me choose the fabric, and she knew how to sew. She let me choose the fabric for this pattern that I bought, because we also had to learn how to adjust patterns and things like that, which again has served me well over my life. And the fabric that I chose was too heavy for that pattern. The skirt needed to have more drape. It needed to be looser fabric. But she let me make the mistake. And I learned, because I didn't like the dress, because that flared part, the ruffly part, stuck out. It looked like a clown outfit. The fabric was cute. It was a cute print and all of that. And I did a really good job. I got an A putting this dress together.
Great clown outfit. A.
It was. But I never wore it because I hated how that skirt. And when I said to Mom about it, I said, why didn't you tell me? Did you know that this was going to stick out like that? And she said, I was worried that it was. But she said, I wanted you to choose the fabric. And if I'm going to let you choose, I can give you guidance. But at the time, you would think I was just trying to be the boss of it or something. But now you know that the fabric weight is as important as the pattern on the fabric. And so you have to understand that. And by making that mistake, I never forgot it.
Well, you know what they say? Whoever has the most fabric in the end wins.
Is this the end, or is it more fabric?
No, I'm just going to say, I have 2 trunkfuls of fabrics, kids.
You win.
Lots of fabrics. And guess what?
You knew
I'm
you were
s-
going to win from the
I'm
beginning
still
of the show.
here. Well, now my question is, if I want fabric, I'm back to doing what I've done many times before. Go to the thrift shop, find the biggest dresses you can find,
Funny how
and cut them
your
up.
solution for everything is go to the thrift store.
You know it.
You
know it.
I have a question about malls for you. Another question about malls. if you were going to design a mall, what stores would you put in? Like 5 stores, you not counting the department store or the anchor stores, but what kind of things would you put in a mall?
In terms of generics?
Today, I don't even. And another thing about home ec, do they even have that anymore?
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
One of those programs that they cut, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, what kind of stores would you put in a mall today?
Well, I think you have to look at what are the basics.
They have like an Apple store for phones
Yeah.
and stuff. That's a
No, they're a given because everybody's got a phone. Everybody needs.
An outdoor store like Dick's or Eastern Mountain Sports back in the day.
Guys, I can never afford that stuff. You know, I know it's popular, and I see so many people wearing the logos. You know, the.
It's fun to look at what's
It is
there,
fun to
though.
look in
And
there.
That's what I keep telling you. It says there's no admission fee. You can go in there. You're not duty bound to buy something.
No, I
And
know.
unfortunately, I think that's what a lot of people have done. They've just shopped with their eyes and not with their wallets.
Well, if you can't afford it, you know, the truth is, when they have that overhead for those that square footage in those malls, that's breathtakingly expensive.
Have you ever watched any of those dead mall videos on YouTube? No. Lots of those.
Yeah,
Very
well, a lot of them have become a bit creepy, haven't they? Some of the abandoned malls are really kind of weird.
So, isn't there like a ghost amusement park or something in West Virginia?
You're thinking of Scooby Doo.
No, it's good.
There's an episode
There's
of Scooby Doo.
an abandoned carnival or something outdoor. That's very weird.
That could be on Freaky Friday.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, maybe we'll look that up. Anyway, guys.
And bring back Radio Shack, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bookstores. You got to have bookstores in there. Those are good.
Right. Give all of these places a giant tax cut. You know, give them a tax cut or subsidize them in some way.
I believe there are some people that are trying to redesign the malls. Malls still are thriving in places like Atlanta and LA and stuff, but they're people are trying to design them so there's more like some like nice vegetation and trees and things and
Incorporate a little more of the outdoors. Make them more like, you know, with those clear roofs, so that especially up north, because it's so easy in the winter months to feel completely depressed.
up there, make them like a biodome.
Yeah, really, really, so that you could have sunlight on you in the dark months, at least as much as there is available, and you could do
Forget about the billions to dome a football stadium, or maybe have a smaller fraction of the public that cares about that. But a domed mall, yeah.
yeah. Or I put the football stadium in the mall. Dome the whole thing. Dome everything.
That's very dome.
Wait, what are those? What are those squirrels?
Oh, goodbye. All right, goodbye, everybody. Go to the mall. Shop local.